Thanks, Nico. Yeah, just to reflect back on Cincinnati, a performance that, as a coaching staff, as players, we weren't happy with. Again, a feeling that we haven't had much this season, the disappointment of a loss. We only have 3 of them, so that's left a bad taste in our mouth, and I know we'll have a really strong response against Chicago. Chicago's a team that gave us issues in their building last time. Obviously, there was a red card in the game as well. Well-coached team. Ezra's done a great job with them. They're in a good run of form. Obviously, it starts with Shaqiri. Casper's been doing very well for them too, so 2 key guys in the attack. And in our home stadium at Subaru Park, the onus is on us to play the right way, play our way, and I'm very confident that our guys will have a good response off of a disappointing loss.
Thanks, Jim. Joe Tansey.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good. Is it a good or bad thing that you guys have had this full week to let that result against Cincinnati kind of fester within this squad? Is it a motivating tactic? Is it just something you guys just flush the memory banks of? How do you approach that throughout the week and maybe or not use it as motivation for Saturday to get back on the right track?
Look, I think it's a good thing to have a full week of training after a tough loss. Obviously, the All-Star game kind of breaks it up a little bit, and we don't have our full group in here, so that makes it a little different and challenging. But yeah, overall, look, we had a really good 5-game win streak with some good performances. And we had a little bit of a letdown. We've talked to the guys over the course of 34 games. You're always guarding against that letdown. But it usually happens once or twice a season where you're not at your best. And in those moments, can you find a way to grind out a tie and make it ugly, which is something we've been able to do a lot this season, and just weren't able to do it against Cincinnati, who was, I think played with urgency and a little bit of, playoff desperation, as we get into the final 10 games of the year. So credit to them. But I know our group will, just from the work they did this week, have a good response. I think it's good to have a week of training to clean some things up, to have some reminders, to reiterate a couple things that we're doing well, to work on things we can improve on, and just kind of reset and refocus as we push for the final 10 games. 5 home, 5 away, in a good spot in the table, and we want as many home games as possible in Subaru Park.
Jordan Strauss.
Jim, with regards to Chicago, we were talking last week about teams, how they're sort of rearming and re-upping. But in terms of Chicago, a team that was sort of wallowing in the lower half of the standings, I mean, they now find themselves in a playoff place. What's your view on them as they've sort of developed this season and sort of where they're at now as you get ready to take on them this weekend?
Yeah, look, if you look at a lot of their performances from early in the season, they were a little bit unlucky. And games they deserved to win, I think, turned into draws, and games they should have got draws, were unlucky losses. So they've played really good soccer all season, but now you're starting to see the results go their way. And in this league, you put together a win streak and win 3 or 4 games in a row, you can see the separation that it gives you. Just like we had with our 5-game win streak, it really puts some distance, and that's a good thing. Our challenge now, though, is to not get comfortable and complacent. All the teams that we play from here on out are going to be fighting for their playoff lives, as are we. We're going to fight for every point, and we don't want to wait to fall down into the pack before we, reboot and go get strong again. So we want to play with urgency from the start of the game now. Regardless of where we are in the standings, we know it's going to be a difficult opponent, a really good team. And if you do analyze all the games, Chicago's played a lot better, especially in the beginning of the year, than the points that they were getting.
Lewis.
Hey, Jim. You were talking a little while ago how Chicago made it difficult for you guys last time out. And when you look at it, all 3 of your losses this season came against teams that have deployed 2 6s that cut the passing lanes through the middle. Why do you think that's been successful against you guys this season?
Yeah, look, we beat a lot of teams that play with 2 6s too. So, every matchup's going to be different. Every team that we play against is going to try to take away our strengths and go at our weaknesses. There was a red card in that game. We didn't have a good performance. And part of that's because Chicago played good on the night too and had a strong outing. So, as you can see, the road games are the hardest ones. In this league, it's tough to get points, and it's really tough to get points on the road. That's where we've dropped our 3 games out of the 24 that we've played. And again, at home, we know we're going to create chances. We have to, it starts with good, strong defending and minimizing their opportunities at goal. But over the course of 90 minutes at home, we know we'll get those chances. And I think, like I said, our group will have a good response. Win, lose, or draw, you'll see us play our way this weekend.
Joe Tanzi?
Jim, what have you seen from Casper on film, what he's been doing these last few games? He had a really nice game against Charlotte. Is he doing anything different than what you guys have seen? Is he evolving, or is it just kind of the same movement and skill you guys are used to, and does that maybe play into your strengths this weekend?
Yeah, look, you guys know how highly I think of Casper as a player, as a person, as a great striker that won us a lot of games. So, part of it's just health and fitness. And I think you're seeing when Shaqiri gets healthy, when Casper gets fully healthy, that's quality. In front of goal, those are 2 really dangerous players. When you have a guy like Shaqiri getting you service and getting you the ball, Casper's going to score. It's now our job to, with the top players, to do our best to limit where they touch the ball. You're never going to stop them for 90 minutes, but can you make those looks that they get be from areas of the field that are difficult for them, or as difficult as possible? So, Casper's a great player. Again, I think it kind of just comes down to health and fitness and getting a rhythm and getting his confidence. So we know he can score as well as anybody in our league, and it'll be a really tough task on Saturday to try to limit his chances.
Andrea?
Hey, Jim. I'm wondering if this is looking back a little bit, but Philadelphia has a reputation as a pretty tough sports town, and you made the transition from assistant to interim to head coach all those years ago. Looking back on it now, what do you think served you the most on that, transition, and what did you learn from it?
Wow, that's a deep one. It's gonna sound bad, especially in Philadelphia, but where I learned the most was in losing and making mistakes and having an ownership group that still stood by me and stood by our plan, that we were going to build something through a group that was cohesive, through a group that was really gave young players a chance, and did it through innovation and a unique way of playing. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing that was necessary for me as a coach that came into the job way too early at 34 years old, having worked in the academy, having been an assistant. You're still not quite ready to be a head coach until you go through it and you have things like a press conference, you have things like adversity, you have things like losing games, and how you respond to that, I think, defines how you are as a leader. And I think I've grown and evolved. I still have a lot to learn, and I don't have all the answers, but I think we've built something here in Philly that's pretty special. And I've said it 100 times, guys. This city, more than any city, I think more than New York, LA, more than DC, respect is not given; it's earned. You can talk all you want, but you have to do it on the field, and you have to do it through your actions. And I think that this fan base, this city, has really got behind this team because they believe that the way we play is representative of what this city's about. And that's never quitting, not being afraid of anybody, being fearless, challenging anybody, but also respecting them. And I think that's kind of what the foundation of the city of Philadelphia is based on. And it's something that I believe in very much as I still like to say, a young coach.
Jordan?
Jim, just checking in on the injury situation. You expect to have full complement this weekend, and including the guys coming back from All-Star?
Yeah, All-Star guys will get in this afternoon. They'll have a little regen and a workout here. I thought they all 3 played great last night, did a good job helping the MLS team win against Liga MX, which was important. And, a great experience for them. They'll come back with confidence, obviously, and they'll come back with a chip on their shoulder, wanting to play, have a good response off of the Cincinnati game. So happy with the group. Everybody else is healthy, fully going. We're excited to get back on the field against Chicago.
Just one quick follow-up on that. Jacob getting the call as the replacement. Does that have any impact on Jack? I mean, like we've talked about how great he's been this year.
Yeah.
He wins the award for Defender of the Year midseason, and he still doesn't get the call to All-Stars. Is he aware of that? Is he thinking about that? I mean, did that do anything for him as a player and as a motivating factor?
Look, I think if you were to ask me, which one was more deserving, I would say that's almost like picking my favorite child. It's impossible. It's an unfair question because they've both been perfect and have done everything that you could ask of a center back. Our defensive record has been incredible this year, and both are deserving of an all-star selection. So, Jacob got the nod this time. I think Jack is also an all-star. But I did have the moment when I was able to call Jacob and tell him that he had been chosen. He's an international, so it's a little different. The all-star thing over there maybe is not foreign. They understand what it means, but I don't know if they understand how important it is in our culture. And the best way I can always word it, and I said this to Jacob, is for the rest of your career, anytime you guys say anything or write anything about him, it will be Jacob Glesnes, all-star defender from the Philadelphia Union. For the rest of your life, that's what you'll be categorized. And in our culture, that's a big deal. We really thrive on that, whether it's in the NBA, NFL, Major League Soccer as well. Once you're an all-star one time, it's for the rest of your life. So it's a great achievement, a great accomplishment. But I'd have to say Jack Elliott played a huge role in Jacob getting that nod as well. And I hope both of them push and try to break the MLS, goals against record, and maybe they'll both be selected for best 11 because I think they're that good and having that good a season.
Joe Tanzi.
Jim, in terms of that All-Star game, I know you've been around this game a lot on this side, and how much that means in terms of, I guess, the significance beating the League of Next All-Stars. This past 12, 18 months, seen a lot of U.S. wins over Mexican teams.
Yeah.
You think that does much for how MLS is growing just on the continent in itself? Forget the European side of things, but beating Liga MX and Mexican teams, Champions League, the national team. Do you think that has, or how much of an impact do you think that makes?
It's huge. And look, I have always said we're making progress as a league and as a country in the sport of soccer. But Mexico has a 100-year head start on us if you look at their league and the formation of their league and how long soccer's been in their culture. It's still relatively new in our league. So every chance we can beat them in a Gold Cup, can win a World Cup qualifier against them, it puts a little more pressure on them. There's no question and no secret that their media is, I'll just say, very hard on them if they do lose to us, and it just builds more pressure. I think our league is growing. I think we have great American players in our league. I think we have great international players in our league, but so do they. And both leagues can exist and be great leagues, but I do ultimately feel like in some way, shape, or form, there'll be some creative way to have us compete more and more. And you're seeing that coming as soon as next year. I think that's healthy for the sport. I think it's great for our league. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't cheering for MLS last night, like everybody else that's involved in our league should be. Because we're all competitors. We all want to be the best. And I think that our league continues to grow and grow. And people will call me crazy, but I don't know if it's going to be 5 years or 10 years, but I think that MLS will be a top league in the world. There's too many intelligent, powerful men and women that are in charge in this league, and I'll just say they're all winners, and they don't like to lose. So it's coming, so get on board.
Lister.
Jim, we've been hearing some rumors about Kai Wagner moving over to Leeds or Brentford or what have you. Have there been any conversations about what Kai's status looks like after this season?
Yeah, look, Kai's a great player. I think you guys know that I think he's the best left back in the league. With that, obviously, there's going to be attention. I've had discussions with Jesse. He's on the radar. There's no question about that. But so are a lot of other good left backs in the world. So it's a unique window in that it doesn't really close till September for them. So Kai's been a great professional here in Philadelphia. I selfishly would love him to stay here, and hopefully we can push and try to win something this year. Kai loves it here in Philly. He loves the fans. He loves playing in Subaru Park. But he also has aspirations to play at the highest level. So we'll see what happens. There's always interest. I think the last 6 or 7 windows there's been interest in Kai, but nothing's come to fruition. So we'll obviously make decisions based on, first official offers have to come in, and Ernst will decide one way or the other what is best for the club, myself included, and Kai as well. So we'll see. Still a to be determined kind of situation, but I have to give Kai a lot of credit for being professional. While there's always noise in and around him, he's been focused and done a great job for us this season, and I know that'll continue.
And final question will go to Andrea.
Jim, you mentioned watching the Union players in the All-Star game and
Yeah.
how well they played. I'm sure you saw the MLS Next game and watched the Union players in that one.
Yeah.
And what are your comments on how they did, and can fans expect any, especially on that trio that played?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Look, it's great because it's what our club is about, right? We want to win first and foremost. I think we all know that. But one of our main pillars is to promote from within. We will always look towards our academy first and foremost to find and develop players. And for the 3 young players that did a great job for us, Zambrano scoring the game-winning goal, I think they left a big impact on things. And then you tune in the evening and you see this badge a lot more times, and you hear the nice things that the commentators say about our club and how we've done it the right way and built the right way and have had success on the field. It makes you proud. And to have 3 players represented in each game, it only grows the importance of this brand and really speaks to what the badge means. It's changed a lot over the years what the badge means, and I think our club now has a true identity, which for so many pro sports franchises is the hardest thing to have. When people say Philadelphia Union, instantly now people have a clear idea in their head of what we're about. And that's a really hard thing to get and a really powerful thing to get. And a lot of people have worked a lot of hours, and our ownership group has had a lot of belief and invested a lot of dollars to make it happen. And now the challenge is to not let it go and push and try to win more trophies. But yeah, certainly last night was special. To have 6 players representing both all-star teams was pretty awesome.